thanks, Gabriel, for coming on for this interview. I know your time is extremely busy, right? I know there's a lot of things that are going on right now, right? So let's just get started, right, with this. So, Gabriel, Brad, and before we get to the meat, right, of today's interview, so excited, a lot of questions to check with you to find out how you have been, some of the strategies you've been going through over the past couple of months, right? Can you just share your quick introduction of yourself, right, for that one or two people, right, but that might not know who you are, right, to today, just that one or two folks, a quick introduction about yourself before I get started.
So, hey everyone, for those who do not know me, it's Gabriel here. And I have been helping salespeople, consultant, service professional to basically scale their business online. So I run an agency that does that. And I'm also currently still a CMO of an education company that helps people with their e-commerce journey. So that's pretty much what I do. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So, guys, if you want, you can go check out Gabriel and what he does, right? He's not just a 2 Comma Club winner in the whole generating $1 million with a funnel, but 10 million, right? Recently, the 2 years. So, congrats on that, Gabriel.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes. So with that, let's get started, right? The first quick question that we have, right? So right now, right, in this whole COVID situation, right, and before I go into a little bit some of the business trends or some business strategies, right, which you are known for, right, I would love to find out a bit more about your overall strategy and approach, right, to getting so much done, right? Because you are now a dad, right? You are full-time CEO, you are chief marketing officer, right? You're actually coaching some clients of your own as well, right? Getting so much done, right? So at least right now, during this COVID period, what's your overall strategy and direction, right, when it comes to getting so much done, right, in so little time? Just share a little bit about that, especially in your own journey over the past, I guess, 12 to 18 months, right, so far.
Yeah. I think first of all, I just want to say that like whatever I'm going to share is not an excuse for you to go and do 10 business. I don't believe someone can achieve a lot of success by going too wide and going, with 10 different businesses. I only have 2 businesses, but the 2 businesses are very related to each other. Does it make sense? So it's not like a separate thing. What I'm doing in one business is I can bring over to the other business. They kind of go hand in hand with synergy. So I think the first thing I want to talk about is focus, right? So yes, you may want to do a lot of things at one go. You may see, I think especially in today's world, we idolize people like Elon Musk, right? Where he is a CEO of like 3 multi-billion-dollar companies. And the truth is that not every one of us is Elon Musk. So I think the first thing is understand you need to focus, right? You need to make sure that you are doing 1 or 2 things at a time, right? But of course, sometimes you gotta juggle, right? So there's a difference between multitasking and juggling. So multitasking is proven to be not effective. Proven to be not effective. Okay. There has been research, a lot of stuff, a lot of research paper have been published about multitasking, and it's proven to be at least 20 to 30% less effective. But on the other side, there's something called juggling, right? So you have to juggle. You still have to juggle, right? It's not like you do business and you just forget about your relationship, or you forget about your marriage or your family. So understand and identify the difference between multitasking and juggling, right? So I juggle, I don't multitask. Okay, so the first one is focus. So the second one is juggling between different areas of my life. So such as like, I recently became a dad, I'm also a husband. I need to find time for my health. I've been gymming on a consistent basis. I'm working on my business. So I think, is to split up is to know which is your priority. Okay. What is your priority on a daily basis, and to allocate time for each of the priority. And when you are attending to the priority, you are 100% there. So when you are spending time when I'm spending time with my wife, right, I want to be 100% there.
Yeah.
And when I'm working, I want to be 100% there, right? And a lot of times, you go out. I mean, nowadays we cannot dine out, but you know the whole saying, right? You go out, you see people dining, you see couples eating, and they're not even talking to each other, right? They're on their phone, they're doing something else. So they're not present, they're not focused. So this is what I mean, of course, I'm still human. Sometimes I do that, but that is that goal for me, is to be 100% present in everything I'm doing. So this also means that when I'm working, I don't expect to be disturbed, by my family, unless it's an emergency. I understand that, because it's the same thing, right? So I'll tell my wife, if you want 100%, from me when I'm with you, then I need 100% in my work, right? And she understands that. She's an amazing wife, and she knows that herself. When she's working, I cannot disturb her. So the first thing is focus, and the second is like get your priorities right, and allocate time for each one of them. And be 100% focused. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing, right, is as compared to what a lot of people might think, right, is that you do many things at one time, right? It's like really just going 100% into a single task and letting everything, right, whether it's your family, your friends, or your team members know that you are actually going to be focused on this, right? Do not disturb me, so that when the time comes for me to work with you, I can do it 100% and we actually get more things done, right? More focused basis, right? So I love that,
Yep.
right? And I know you mentioned a little bit about priorities, right? So just a bit curious because I'm sure, right, as compared to some folks, right, you are extremely clear with your priorities, right? Exactly what you get done, right? What I'm going to do for a certain period of time, right? How do you actually manage some of these priorities, or how do you actually define some of these crystal clear priorities for yourself, right? Without getting overwhelmed, right, with so many things. So you share a little bit, maybe your system or your structure, right? I think people will really benefit from that, right? And how they actually find out what should they prioritize on, right, on any given day or any given week or month.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't think there's a straight answer for this. It's very different for everyone. But I'm gonna share what works for me, after trying different things and really making a lot of mistakes. And here's something that I realized that works for me. And what works is that knowing how to use my focus and my energy is more like energy management. How to manage my willpower and energy. You ever heard of the whole idea like, willpower is limited, right? It kind of depletes. Your ability to make good decision depletes as the day goes by, right? You can make better decision in the morning, and then as you make more and more decision, it depletes, right? So towards the end of the day, you make worse and worse decision. And this is the reason why a lot of billionaires in the world, they choose to wear the same T-shirt every single day because they don't have to think about it, right? So I recently took up that habit. I'm just wearing black or white. That's it, right? So at least I have some variety. It's either black or white, okay? So some people it's extreme, it's just white all the way or gray all the way. So is to understand how to manage that decision fatigue. So what I like to do is I realize that there is different season, or I would say like different pockets of time that is more suitable for certain work for me. So for example, I like to do most of my work in the morning. I just find it very hard for me to really work and to make good decision in my business if I'm doing it in the evening. Now it's different for everyone. Some people do it more better in the evening. So it's to find what is suitable for you. So that's for me, right? Morning, I like to spend more time on work, right? Personal development. That's why I work out, I read books. I basically work on my business as well. I answer all the necessary stuff. I do my planning, I create my slides, all that stuff, all the hard things that I need to do in the morning.
Yep.
And then, in the evening is where I will spend more time with my family and I will spend more time with my daughter, right? So because it doesn't really require a lot of energy for me to be spending time with my family, right? In fact, sometimes spending time with family recharges me, right? So it's more like which is suitable for you, right? So it's like even though towards the end of the day, I'm really very tired, very fatigued, but when I spend time with my family, I actually feel energized by it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's to know which is the right pocket, right? So for me, I always do the hard thing first. All the things that requires willpower, like you always. Here's another example, right? I never work out consistently for more than here's the truth, okay? I've never worked out consistently, right, for more than 90 days before, right? In my entire life, But over the last 1 year, I've been working out every single week. Now, I gotta be honest. When the lockdown happened, gym closed. Yeah. I did kind of slack off. I kind of missed out 1 or 2 weeks, So I'm a human, okay? I admit to that. Yeah. And I can't wait to go back to gym. But for the first time ever, in the last 1 year, I have not missed a single week of gym. All right. And that's because I did it in the morning. I always tell myself, in the past, I always tell myself, I'll go to the gym after all my things, after everything, when I'm done with all my work, and then I'll go in the evening. And that's a lie. That's honestly a lie. You got to be brutally honest with yourself, what works and what doesn't, right? So I was lying to myself. I couldn't, consistently work out. But when I started to tell myself, you know what, I'm going to do the hard thing first in the morning. I'm going to do my YouTube video in the morning. I'm going to do my gym in the morning. Those hard things, I get rid of it in the morning first. And then I do all the things that I kind of really enjoy in the later of the day. Yeah. So it's really knowing how to segregate your time, finding pockets of time and just doing the hard thing first.
Yeah, one thing I love, right, is the fact that you are very clear about where your mind is or what you actually tend to like to do, and you actually put them in the front. So things that you enjoy and things that are hard, right, put them in the morning, and those things that are a little bit take a bit less energy, right, or let's say to recharge with your family, right, put it at night. So that's great. Just quick question though, I'm just curious, right, because some folks, right? Some folks, they might say, hey, I actually like spending time with my family, right? In the morning, right? Or actually I enjoy time in the evenings, right? I know like you have your own direction, right? So how will you, do you actually do a lot of testing for yourself to find out the level of clarity, right? Or this is something that just came to you naturally? I'll just try to find out a little bit about, for people who are starting out, right? How can they actually get started on finding out what works for them and what doesn't?
Okay. I think to put it simply, do the hard thing first, things that you don't really want to do, things that you kind of have to push yourself to do. And then in the evening, do those things that are easier for you and those things that you really enjoy. So I think this will make it clearer for everyone. So that's why it's different for different people. Like for me, creating content is not natural for me. Like you see my YouTube video and all that, right? I honestly don't really like creating that video. I pushed myself so much, you know, and finally started doing YouTube video after like 3 years of telling myself I would do it. We all know that, right? So, but for some people, content is so natural for them. Content is something they enjoy doing. I know of people who will do content after everything, after they are done with all the hard things, which means that content is something like for me, family time. You know, they'll do it in the evening, and that energizes them. So, so I think end of the day, it's not about, you know, adopting what I'm doing, right? Whether, you know, is it working out in the morning or if you love to work out in the evening, do it, right? But the idea is like, what is something that you have to push yourself to do it? You know, you have to use willpower to do it. That one, do it in the morning. And then whatever that you don't need willpower, you know, it energizes you. It comes very natural to you. Do it more in the evening. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So make a list. I think the whole idea is just make a list first, right? Make a list. Hey, you know what? Something that I always have to push myself. If, for example, going to the gym energizes you. I know some people, right? Maybe because, you know, of my habit when I was young, but I know some people who are like literally gym rat, like going to the gym is their life. Okay. So obviously for those people, they may not have to do it in the morning, right? They can just do it at night, right? Or they can do it in the evening because it kind of like brings life to them. So I would just say, long story short, just do the hard things first in the morning. Yeah. And then gradually do the things that you enjoy.
Yeah, so focus on the key principles, right? Instead of the actual task, right? That means if you like exercise, do it at night. Feel free to do it evening, right? But think about the hard things, the things you enjoy in the morning, right? And those things that recharges you a little bit, right? Can you hear me? Yeah. So then those things that recharges you, right? Put it at night. And one thing that I really felt I really resonate with the fact that you always share people, right? That I'm human, right? So don't aim to be 100%. Because if you aim to be 100%, right, you're going to get disappointed, you're going to get burnt out, it's not going to end up with very good stuff, right? So next question, right? On a more macro basis, right? Do you actually struggle with burnout? I think this question of burnout is happening right now. I see a lot of people talking about it, right? People are struggling, right? And they're losing energy on a mental or physical level, right? So, is there something you have struggled with before over this period of time? And if so, like, what are some ways or advice or tips you actually recommend to some folks who are actually facing this right now to actually overcome or to even prevent themselves from getting burnout moving forward?
That's a good question, Mark. I have personally experienced a lot of burnout before, to the point that, you know, I feel depressed even, and it's very seasonal, right? Where I feel depressed, then I feel good, and I feel depressed again, I feel good. So it has been a journey for me to really to learn how to understand myself and to understand this whole burnout thing. And I think over this past few years, what I tend to realize is there are actually two different kinds of burnout. Because sometimes burnout can be an excuse. Sometimes burnout can be just a story that you tell yourself, you know, especially when you're having a breakthrough or a story to tell yourself, because, you know, you're so used to being so comfortable, right? It brings you back down to like, you know, to a level that is, there's not your potential, you know? So, I think there's two parts, right? One is physical burnout and one is called mental burnout. I personally think that physical burnout is real. If you are not eating well, you are not sleeping well, you're not exercising, three things, right? I don't know why these three things get lost, right? This is so common health advice, right? But with the whole biohacking and people, you know, like going all overcomplicated and, you know, basically making things overly complicated, right? With all kinds of like supplements and all that. I mean, the truth is that you just need to fix this three things. Diet, you know, good sleep, 8 hours of solid sleep. I realized that I need 8.5 hours. Okay, so it is different for people, right? That's the reason why I have Aura Ring, I have things like that to track. Some people just need 6 hours. You know, it's a bit genetics, but for me, I realized that I need about 8 hours, 8 to 8.5 hours to get a good solid sleep. So see what works for you, right? And then ultimately exercise. If you get this three things right, you'll be fine, honestly, right? But you know, if you have been working late nights, you know, you have been only sleeping 4 hours a day, you know, consistently. I know, you know, sometimes you have sleepless night, you know, some nights we have insomnia. That's fine, right? But consistently, you are putting a toll on your body, right? You are not respecting your body. It is going to burn out, right? So if you don't rest, right, your body is going to tell you to rest, and it's going to tell you to rest in form of sickness. It's going to tell you to rest in the form of burnout. So I think the first thing is really take good care of your body first, right? When you take good care of your body, I think the mental part will come next. So people always think that it's mind over body, but the reverse is true. If you study like works like Tony Robbins, right, he always talk about how it's all about state change, right? It's the ability to change a state, right? From being depressed to being grateful. And a lot of times that happens when you are moving your body, right? He teaches that motions equals to emotion, right?
Yep.
Have you ever realized that? I don't know how many of you here realize that if you ever go for HIIT, right? Maybe a run, a swim, right? Something like cardio that get your heart, pumping. After that 10 to 15 minutes of cardio, I don't know about you, but I realized that I have a lot of ideas flowing. After I work out, right? And I'm usually in a much more grateful state, a happier state after a workout.
Yeah.
And that's not by accident, right? That's because, when we move, right, when you use energy, you get more energy. So I think it comes not mind over body, but more of body over mind, right? When you take care of your body well, then you don't suffer that physical burnout, and you're less likely to suffer mental burnout. Okay. So then the next thing is, what about mental burnout by itself, right? So I think mental burnout is a lot in the head. As long as you're taking good care of your body, your body is strong, your temper is strong, you shouldn't experience a lot of mental burnout.
Yeah.
Okay. But what I realized also is that a lot of times the mental burnout is because I'm just stuck trying to chop down a tree with a blunt axe. You're going to feel burnout, of course, right? If you are chopping down a tree and you're using a blunt axe. And I think I learned this from I think it was this book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. It says that one of it is sharpening your saw. So it's all about, I think Abraham Lincoln said like if you give me 4 hours or how many hours I forgot, right? You give me 4 hours to chop down a tree, I will spend 3 hours to sharpen the saw, right? I'll sharpen the axe. So we talk about taking care of our body. How do you take care of the mind? I think your mind needs exercise as well. And the way your mind exercise is by learning. The way you sharpen your mind, you sharpen your axe is learning. And I find that every time I'm suffering a mental burnout or I'm suffering some kind of, depression, I can trace back. It is always a period of time I stop learning. It's a period of time I stop learning something new. I stopped sharpening my axe, and so so I'm not learning new things. I start getting excited over new things. I'm not growing, right? And if you're not growing, you are dying, right? And that's the reason why you're having this mental death, right? This burnout. So that's what I do, right? I realize that I need to constantly sharpen my axe. I need to constantly learn. And I think the last one is regarding mental burnout is that, don't forget your why. Don't forget what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing. And I haven't suffered a mental burnout in a long time. I gotta be honest here. Like I'm so glad that now they ask this question. I used to suffer a burnout maybe once every 3 months, 6 months, it's like a constant thing. But I don't think I've suffered a burnout for like probably a good 6 months, which is pretty long for me, right? And I think I can also trace back to having a kid. So I'm not saying you should go and have a kid now, but every night after a long day of work, right? After the so-called, burnout and fatigue and tiredness, just holding my daughter in my arms just reminds me what I'm doing this for. Right? Sometimes, you get negative comments on social media, right? Some things that people say will kind of like haunt you. And that is also a form of burnout, right? You start to keep replaying that over your head again and again, and you get tired of it, and then you start to feel burnout. And when I look at my daughter Ayla, right? When I look at Ayla, I just remind myself what's really important. It's not the comments, it's her, right? I'm doing all this. Why? Is to give her, other than serving the world, and serving my purpose, but is to give her a better life. So it's remind myself what's truly important. Of course you don't need a daughter to remind yourself what's truly important. Okay, the whole idea is that why do you start in the first place, right? Why do you started your business in the first place? Why do you started what you do in the first place? And then go back to the why. Okay, so if you lose focus on the why, it's easy to face burnout.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of powerful implementable tips, right? I think firstly, of course, from the physical standpoint, right? Like you said, it's just focusing on fundamentals, right? And actually prioritizing and actually getting it done, right? Your sleep, right? What you eat, your diet, right? And whatnot. And then from a mental basis, right? I love what you said about growth, right? Well, something about myself is, I think last year, the later of last year, I just suffered a little bit of a burnout as well, right? But right now, something I do is, and also linked to what you said earlier, right? About having something to look forward to every morning, right? That I actually write down exactly what I'm going to learn the next day, and that keeps me excited, right, to keep going as well. All right, so I think that's something in terms of learning to grow, right? If not, you don't grow, you die. And then the last one I said, to remind yourself of your why, right? So with that, right, we have went through more of the what I call the macro basis, some of the big picture strategies, right? Prioritizing, scheduling, right? Getting the important and hard things done in the morning, right? Recharging at night, right? So right now, right, and something that I enjoy, right, with your content from your YouTube, right, is really about those micro tips as well, right? From the productivity standpoint, right? So can you share a little bit about what do you think are some, like, let's say about the top 3 tips, right? You actually advise some folks to actually implement or apply, right now in this space, right, to actually become more productive or to get more things, right, done at a certain period of time.
Okay. Top 3 tips. Okay, let me think about it. Okay, so I don't want to go too into the micro because I don't want to bore people out. But I think the first one is skipping breakfast. Simplest thing. Like I don't want to share things that is so hard for people to do, but I want to share things that's easy for people to do. Right. So I think the first one is that you really want to have more energy and productivity. Just skip breakfast. In fact, I think when I study some of the most successful people in the world, many of them have said that like eating just 1 meal or just 2 meals a day is so much better than 3 meals. Because when your body is digesting food, see, again, it's the body and the mind, right? The connection. When your body is digesting food, right, it requires energy, right? And especially if you're eating carbs, carbohydrates, right, it releases sugar in the bloodstream, and what that does is that eventually you're gonna feel a crash, you're gonna feel fatigue, you're gonna feel tired. So what I like to do in the morning is that I don't eat breakfast at all. Right. So in a way it's fasting. So in a way, doing a 16-8 fasting is good. 16-8 fasting means that you eat only 8 hours window and 16 hours you do not eat. Typically, people will not eat from 9 p.m. all the way to 1 p.m. Okay. So you can stop eating at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. and then you can start eating again at 12 or 1, depending on where you stop. So pretty much that means you only have lunch and dinner. So for me, my productivity tip is that like I just fast. So I work better in the morning. I get things done. My head is clearer when I don't even eat. And the best part, you don't even think about what to eat and you don't waste time eating. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
I think it's Jack Dorsey, right? He eats 1 meal a day. If I'm not wrong. Founder of Twitter. Okay. Yeah. So this is not something that like is very weird. Like it's quite common nowadays. So what? So skip breakfast. And that will help you do some kind of fasting. I think the second one is to have at least 3 priorities that you want to achieve by the end of the day. Okay. I know sometimes we have like a to-do list of like 10, 20, 30 things. I get that, right? But let's be real here. We cannot clear everything at one go. The whole idea is to chunk what you have. Let's say you have 20, 30 to-do list, right? A lot of times you realize that 20, 30 is not 20, 30 things. Maybe 3 or 4 things are connected. Another 5 or 6 things are connected. So what you want to do is to chunk it where, okay, this 4 or 5 is connected, this 4 or 5 is connected, this 4 or 5 is connected. It's not so that it doesn't look like you have 20 over things. Yeah. Okay. So it's a mental trick. So then when you chunk it, you're like, actually I only have 4 things. More manageable. Yeah. And then prioritize 3 things that you want to achieve by the end of the day. Okay. So I think many people set themselves up to fail when they plan. So what I mean by set themselves up to fail, I'm going to finish this 10 things today. I mean, the truth is that if you really want to, get good quality work, sometimes it's very hard to do 10 things. I don't remember a day where I really could do like 10 to-dos in a long time. I always do at least just 3 or 4. And you set yourself to win, right? Because you feel good, right? There's something measurable at the end of the day. You don't feel like, hey, I've not done anything. Sometimes we lie to ourselves. We tell ourselves this story and we just give ourselves no credit for the work done. Yeah. So 3 is something that works very well for me. I mean, you can try 4, you can try 5, but 3 is something that works for me. So 3 things I want to get done, and I'll just get it done, right? So at the end of the day, if I can do more, great, it's bonus, right? But at least just 3.
Yeah.
And there's also a focus and priority, so that I know, okay, at the end of the day, these are the things that I need to do. And then I think lastly is the one last tip is what is the
Before we go on the last one, right? Can I just change very quickly, Gabriel? So
sure.
When top 3 things, right, does it include both professional and personal, or are you just thinking more for like your business or career, right? That means like for example, like if one of your key tasks for that day, right, is to plan overseas trip, right? I know now it's a bit hard. I'm just giving an example, right? Is that part of your top 3 priorities, right, or is it something separate from your business, right? In terms of your top 3 priorities for the day.
So what I'm trying to say just now was more on the business side.
Okay.
Yeah, was more on the business side. So you can have like 3 priorities for business, and then another 3 for like personal if you want
personal
to. Right.
After. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, but for me, I don't have that. I just have the 3 for business, because at least I get that done. I have the rest of the day to really just work on my personal life. And personal life, I don't really have to keep track, as long as I'm reading a book, or as long as like I think it also boils down to what we call a daily habit. So then those are a separate thing, which is like I have a daily habit that I have to do it every single day. So like for example, right, meditation, working out, reading a book, connecting with people. So these are like habits in my personal life. It may not have anything to do with my business.
Yep.
Right. Or like one of my daily habits that I want to do a daily devotion, because my wife and I, we are Christians. So we will do a daily devotion at night before we end the day. We will talk about our day, and we would ask ourselves, what are we grateful for today? And listen to each other. So these are like daily habits. So for my personal life, I don't have like a 3 priorities, but more like habits that I want to put into my life. And if you do all these habits long enough, you're gonna see a big difference in your life, right? Because people set goals, but they forget that what's more important is the system and the habits in their life. Because you're not gonna achieve a big thing, by trying to do, by swallowing everything at one go, right? You gotta take, one bite at a time, and really just doing like a 2 shift every single day, right? The whole concept of like improving 1% every single day. So those are the habits part. Yeah. So for my personal life, I have more of habits rather than priorities.
Okay, great. And I think that's a very good clarification, right? So habits and routines for more of the personal basis, and then for professional, right? Obviously, things are moving on every day, right? There are different priorities, right? So just get those 3 done for the day, right? And then you can be ultra focused and productive along the way as well. So love it, right? So with that, any other like last like micro tips you might want to share regarding this portion, right? If not, we can definitely go on to the next topic I'm pretty interested about.
Sure. I think the next one is just deep work. Knowing what is deep work. There's basically this book called Deep Work. I think it's by Cal Newport or something.
Yeah.
Cal Newport. Yeah. I'm starting to forget a lot of names. Yeah. So that book is amazing. It talks about the idea of what is called deep work, where you have no distracted, focus on something. It doesn't have to be work. A lot of times it can also be, writing a book, or spending time with family. So having no distracted focus is important, which I talked about earlier. But knowing the different kinds of strategy for deep work, right? So in the book, he mentioned a couple of strategy, but there's 2 strategy that I adopted. The first strategy is what we call like a daily deep work, which is something like, again, like a habit, right? So every morning I will have like 1 to 2 hours in the morning where I have no distracted work. Okay. And those are times that like is in a way it's holy to me, right? I need to make sure that, no one is distracting me, because, I won't be able to go deep and really solve problems in my business, like hard problems in my business, if I'm always constantly getting distracted and getting pulled out, right? So so there's those daily deep work, and it's good to have that. But another one that helps me a lot is that every month or so, I would take at least 1 or 2 days and just do a deep work day, where that 1 day or 2 days I am not distracted by anything. And this helps if you can afford it with the budget. This helps if you can just book a hotel.
Yeah, and just go somewhere else completely different. Yeah,
exactly. Change of environment, and also because of the fact that you book a hotel, you spend money, right? So you are in a way, committed to doing it and not getting distracted. And that really helped me a lot. Now it's a bit harder because I'm a dad now. I can't just leave my house. But I will still try to do it at home in my room, where I do at least a half day. So that is very, very helpful for me. It helps me to clear my mind, helps me to understand like, okay, like really to go deep in my business and just, sometimes even if I have nothing much to do or I do have a lot of problems to solve, then I would just call it a learning day where I'll just spend one full day and then just do a lot of learning, like maybe just read 2 or 3 books at one go. But simply say no phones, no social media, nothing. So it's just total dopamine detox. Okay.
Yeah, I love it.
Where you don't get dopamine from your phone or from like eating junk food or anything, and just really focus on your work that you're trying to achieve. Okay, or either learning. Yeah, so that really helps me a lot. So two ways for that. Yeah, so daily one, and as well as like a once a month. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's great, man. I think like the getting down to the deep work, right? Because I think as we know, right, yes, right, we can try to do our great things in the morning, but times or distractions, right? Other people asking you for stuff, right, can be very high. So we actually have those like monthly, like you said, mini retreats, right, for you to actually get those important things done, right? Get a lot of focus, a lot more productive, right? And actually that's how you actually move significant progress as well. So I love it. So I guess my next quick question before I go on, maybe a bit more to the business side of things, right? I'm just curious, right, for some of the more experienced entrepreneurs, right, marketers out there, right? When do you think is time, right? I think that's subjective, right? To start delegating or outsourcing some of the tasks. But I think something that a lot of folks I realize, right, even though they might be super successful, they might have got a lot of revenue, a lot of them might be a bit resistant to delegating or hiring a team. So what are some of your overall guidelines or advice for folks who are considering it, right, but still not so sure whether that's the right time for it or not?
Okay, so right time to start delegating. I don't think there's a right time. Again, it's all very subjective and different to different business owners. But if I can give like maybe just a number, right? I think if your business is not doing is doing below $1 million revenue. $1 million revenue is not a lot, by the way, because you know, if you talk about like profit margin and stuff like that. If it's not doing at least $1 million, you can still do most of the things by yourself. With all the things that's going on in the world right now, you can you have softwares that can help you. I know of people who are one-man team and they can build $1 million business. So now again, it can be different for some of you, right? You have your mark maybe like $500,000 or $1 million. And then that's where you start to scale, and then that's where you start to hire, and you start to delegate. But perhaps maybe another perspective I can bring to you is that don't delegate when you are overwhelmed and when you feel like
burning out and
you're burning out and you are just, I would say a lot of people, they hire out of reaction. Okay. And I did that before, right? I just hired because, people say, hey, you grow a business. When you're growing a business, you need to hire. And the bigger the team, that means the company is growing. That's not necessarily true. So I think a good time to start delegating and hiring is when you are doing something consistently, non-stop, repetitively. And now you can actually create an SOP to get someone to take over what you're doing. If not, don't even hire, because you hire, you're gonna get this person to kind of figure out what they want to do, and then now you've got even more work to to delegate to them, because they're not doing anything. You're hiring them, you're paying them. Then that adds another level of stress. So I would say start delegating when you have something, a task that you're doing, and it's already very repetitive. There is a step by step. Then you can start delegating. So there are a lot of things in my life I do delegate. Because I already have developed a sort of like a system, and I want to kind of like move on to the next level. So for example, I no longer run my own ads, right? But I used to run all my ads myself. But I start delegating when I realized that what I'm doing is just a routine daily thing, right? There's not much changes anymore. I have been refining that system over and over and over again. And then I get someone to take over and improve on it. Right. So that means there must be at least a basis, not just, you're not hiring someone, you're not delegating to someone, and you cannot delegate your problems. Maybe I'll just put it that way.
So I think it's really about like, what can you delegate, right, on a more systematic level, right, rather than just reactive and just trying to get help, right, for the sake of it, right, but being a lot more intentional. I think the word is intentional, right, about exactly what you want to delegate, and then moving on from there, moving it. So that's that.
So if you don't have a system or SOP, don't delegate.
Yeah, right. So great stuff here, Gabriel. So I'm going to move on a little bit from the productivity space, right, on a bit more personal growth space. Right now, just a little bit about the business, because obviously that is your specialization. That's where you're great at, right? And you share a lot of good content on your YouTube channel, right? That's about step-by-step style on how to be in digital marketing right now, 2021. A lot of good stuff. Go and check Gabriel out, yeah, guys. So, but right now, right, what are some, in your opinion, right, Gabriel, what are some of your opinions about the biggest mistakes, right, you feel that some entrepreneurs or marketers are making right now, right, during this whole COVID-19, they feel that should really be looked at or should be evaluated right now? Some of the biggest mistakes you observe, right, from the different entrepreneurs or marketers around this space at the moment.
Um, I think some of the biggest mistake is still, I wouldn't say that this is a new thing, because we have been in this whole COVID for a good 1.5 year, nearly 1.5 year now.
Yeah.
I think, you know, it's time to wake up that we are not going back to normal. I think a lot of people still have this mindset that, you know, things are going to go back to normal. It's not. And it's kind of sad. Now, I'm not trying to say it in a condescending way, but I just saw a video. I think it was done by, a local in Singapore. I forgot who was this local. It's kind of like a celebrity where he goes to like different hawker, and they did kind of like a documentary talking about how
the Sutra guy.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Right. And how, you know, all the hawkers are kind of like in a very bad situation, because, you know, their sales are down 90%, and they do not know how to go Grab, or that, you know, Grab is charging too much for them to go on, and, you know, all that stuff. So when I watched the video, now please understand that, like, I understand, you know, this hawker, I think I have compassion. I will support them, you know, some of this hawker, because this is like our culture. But all I see from the video is just kind of like talking about a problem, and almost to the point of like a bit like whining already. You know, there's no solution presented, except for like, hey guys, come and support. There's only so much you can do with come and support, right? How many times can people just go and support? I mean, the truth is that we are all we are all people that ultimately just wants what's best for ourselves. And if you think about it, it's so much more convenient right now. I can just order Grab than to drive all the way down and to so-called support these hawkers. Right. So I think is to have the mindset of like being resourceful, and not having the mindset that like, oh, you know, like of being a victim, you know, to the circumstances. And you see that a lot during this period, right? So I've seen some of my friends who really started to innovate. They are in the F&B business, but they're innovating. That literally innovating. They're doing something, right? They're creating a so-called like a cloud kitchen where, you know, they start to cook multiple different kinds. They're doing different, you know, because now you don't necessarily need a space that is like in a prime area anymore, because everyone, you know, so that helps with the rental and the cost, right? So literally there are people who are cooking out of like places that are like, you know, very, you know, ulu places, like, you know, those industrial area and or something like that. And it's very cheap rental, right? And from one kitchen, they can create maybe 3 to 4 different brands from one kitchen. So, you know, so that helps them to really reduce their cost, but they are able to, you know, have 3 to 4 brands. So those are like opportunities that that is being presented right now in this, you know, crisis, in this situation. And I'm talking about an industry that is severely impacted, because I can talk about digital marketing all I want, right? But some people is going to say like, digital marketing, you know, you guys are the lucky ones. I'm talking about literally F&B right now. So rather than just simply crying for help, I think sometimes we have to like stop being a victim and really just being resourceful and think about what can I do, right? I mean, the whole argument about Grab taking 30% and all that, I mean, you can mark up your food a bit more, right? Like most of the stuff on Grab is already marked up. I mean, if I look at some of the stuff that I buy from Grab, but if I go down, you know, it's already cheaper. You know, this whole 30% thing, you know, you can just mark it up. People are still buying, right? There's still a market. People are still ordering. At least you're on Grab better than you're not on Grab. But they allow that to stop them, you know? They allow that, oh, you know, because they're taking 30%. So, you know what, we're not going to be on Grab. We rather suffer a 90% loss than to suffer a 30% loss. Can you see the argument? It doesn't even make sense. So, so that's what I would say, right? The biggest mistake is just still thinking that the world is going to go back to normal, still not moving, not innovating, not changing. The world is going to move on, right? The world is going to move on, and it's just like when cars are invented, horses are outdated. So you can cry, all the horse farm can cry all they want. Oh, horses are like part of our tradition and our culture, and it is going to be gone. Please support us. Please buy horse. People are going to buy cars. People are going to get delivery.
That it
is the way it is. The world is moving forward, right? So you either move forward with it, or you get left behind. Yeah. So I hope that doesn't sound too if I comment that, people are going to say that, oh, you don't understand, you don't understand we hardworking middle class people, because you make a lot of money. And no, it's not I don't understand. It's just, again, it's the mindset. So I think the biggest mistake right now is having the wrong mindset, having a victim mindset, because it's not going to go back.
Yeah, and I would just say, like, Gabriel, like, really thanks for sharing so honestly about it, because I think not everybody like would want to speak about it, because it's sensitive. They know people might get triggered, right? But if you look at the harsh reality, and sometimes the world can be tough, right? But it's really what you make of it, right? Do you want to just, like I said, continue being victim, continue complaining, right? Or actually do something about it to actually adapt to current changes and actually take advantage or whatnot, right? So yes, I know it can be tough for some folks, right, in terms of how do you actually get it done if I'm not aware, right? But my personal take on this, right, is that if you have faith, right, keep taking action, right, you actually be open, right, you actually try out, right, you actually can be able to adapt and actually move on with the times as well, right? So thanks so much for sharing for that. So I guess with that, last question, right, before we end off the interview, right, for this lunchtime interview, right, Gabriel. So right now, right, and I know one thing you also say, of course, the digitalization, COVID right now, delivery is happening on, right? But any last upcoming business or marketing trends, right, that you feel that, hey, right, actually people should really start looking into it, right? People should start leveraging on it, right? People should start really taking a deeper look at it, right? So that they actually can take advantage of this period, right, to actually move forward with their business or their for their clients as well.
Okay, awesome. That's interesting, because I just did a video that I'll be releasing tonight.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll be releasing tonight on regarding social media ads. Now, it's not a new thing, but I think it will be more and more important in businesses. And I actually did kind of like a bit of a case study talking about Lazada and Shopee. Okay, and here's interesting thing. Okay, I did a research in 2018. I know there's some investors here. I saw Kelvester is here. So correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, but I went to do some research and I saw that in 2018. Lazada was the market leader in Southeast Asia, right, in terms of e-commerce. And they actually had about 10 million monthly visitors on their website every single month. 10 million. And Shopee was 1 million. Look at the big difference, right? Today, or at least the latest update, is that Lazada has 7 million and Shopee has 12 million. They have overtaken Lazada as the biggest in terms of market dominance. In terms of market dominance, and they have grew more like, from 1 million to 12 million, 12 times, in the last 3 years. And so I think that's an incredible feat. And if you really think about it, right, what they really did was, I mean, of course, there are a lot of factors, but I felt that one of the biggest factor is it's definitely that determines the why they were able to win this was their cringe-worthy viral ads that's all around, right? I mean, think about Shopee, all the ads that they have that they had on YouTube and all that. They were pretty smart to be able to utilize the cheap cost per reach to really reach out to as many people as possible, right? I mean, you probably heard of the and they did a lot of localized version, right? So they have the Portugal version. It started off with the whole I think it was the Ronaldo, right? There was a
Ronaldo,
Ronaldo baby shark thing, and then from there they start to do a more localized version, and so you start to see some trends. Like, so this tonight I'm posting a video. I'm comparing that with 99.co. Do you realize that 99.co recently did a video? He brought back the mocha guy. I want to buy a house. That guy, the muscle guy, called his number, and they brought him back. They brought him back, and then they did a sort of like a branding ad on YouTube, and I think that will be like a very similar comparison to like how Shopee and Lazada is, right? Because you think about any Lazada ad you can remember, probably not. But if I ask you any ad do you remember from Shopee, you probably remember. So I would say paid ads is definitely something that you really want to look into. especially on places like YouTube and Facebook. It is
Yeah.
still so cheap because big, more and more bigger and bigger companies are coming in again to really utilize the cheap cost per lead. So if you're not in it now, it's going to get more and more expensive as bigger companies start to realize that, hey, you know what, all these small companies are starting to take up a market dominance because of paid ads.
Yeah.
We need to start running more ads, right? And then it'll become more expensive. So, but right now it's still cheap. It's so cheap. We are able to build, I mean, the truth is that we were able to build a brand new business. Of course, not without the mistakes that we have made. We made a lot of mistakes, ton of mistakes. But I can say that the biggest credit is paid ads. We were able to build a brand new company from $0 to $10 million, all just by using paid ads. So paid ads is a great way for you to have, I think, a leap in your marketing. And organic does matter. That's the reason why I'm still doing YouTube. I'm doing all the organic. But the paid ads gives you that massive reach within a short period of time, that burst, right? And then all your organic traffic whatsoever, will help to increase that brand life. Exactly. Because if you're posting videos on YouTube and all that, I mean, how many people actually know you? But when you start running ads, right, it gives you a boost, and people start searching about you. People will start to, hey, who's this guy, right? They start searching about you, and then they'll start to go into your organic. So it helps with your organic. So, there are a lot of marketers who say things like, you should be doing organic ads, you should be doing paid ads. They are doing like a organic versus paid ads. I think any marketers that say that, I think any marketer that say that, they don't understand what I'm talking about. I mean, that's the truth, right? True marketers know that these two things go hand in hand. You cannot depend on paid ads forever. You can also, and organic takes a long time to build. So use paid ads to kind of like boost your reach, boost your brand awareness in a way, right? And at the same time, generate sales, and have organic, to capture all the people who are lost, right? People who don't trust you the first time they see your ad, but they're going to search on you. Trust me, they'll search, right? I went to see Gabriel. I went to look at YouTube, and I have this software that look at like what's the keyword search and how many volumes of search on YouTube. And my name, Gabriel Wong, is now getting higher and higher search. Not because of my organic. I mean, the truth is that nobody wants to see my face every single week on YouTube. Okay, I'm nobody special, right? My content is also not very unique. But because I ran ads, right? When I ran ads, people see my ads, people start to get interested, or like, hey, who is this Gabriel guy? Maybe I go and search up on him, right? So they start to search, and so I mean, it makes sense, right? When I start running ads, the volume of my name being searched went up, and when they search my name, they're gonna go back into my organic content, right? That's the reason why all my videos on YouTube is getting more and more views. Okay, so these are two strategies that you should be doing together. Okay, but I would say the paid ads is the one that you really want to figure out, because that's the one that gives you the huge boost in your business.
Oh wow! Yeah, you're also making me think that I should start running paid ads very soon, right? Because I'm still before there's a lot of organic, right? So see how it goes. That's a very powerful frame and concept, right? About if you really want to grow, if you're serious about it, right? That's something you want to leverage. I like what Calvester also says here, right? You also want to do both at the same time, man. So with that, Gabriel, I think thanks so much. Right? A lot of powerful tips, strategies, right? You went deep, right? You went actionable. So I love it, right, Gabriel? Right. So with that, any last words for our audience right here, right? And where can they find you moving forward and find out more about productivity, right? Business, right? Share a little bit about that as well.
Sure. I think the first thing you want to do is just to follow my Instagram. Just hey Gabriel Wong. I mean, if you're watching this on Instagram, you can just click on my profile and just follow me, as well as my YouTube. Right, on my YouTube, I share a lot of. I mean, after spending 7 figures and building 8-figure businesses, I've made so many mistakes that has cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars, and maybe even at least $1 million of mistake. And what I really want to do right now is to share these mistakes. Now, I'm not trying to show you like how good am I and all that kind of stuff. I'm not interested in that. What I'm interested in is really to share that mistakes that I wish someone would have shared with me when I first started. That would save me so much money, so much headache, and so much heartache. If I have mentors that can guide me. So I'm not selling any courses also, by the way. I'm not selling any courses right now. So all the stuff that I'm teaching on YouTube is free. I'm just really doing it because I just want to help people. So you can go and follow me on my YouTube channel. Yeah. So my Instagram as well as my YouTube. Yeah.
All right, great. Anyway, thanks so much, Gabriel, for today, right? It's been a great time. I think I learned a lot myself personally as well. A lot of things to think about, a lot of things to implement, right? And yeah, for folks out there, whether you're watching Facebook, right, Instagram, recording or live, right? Let us know in the comments whether you liked it, right? Thanks folks for coming on board, right? And we hope to see you guys soon for next interview. With that, thanks so much, Gabriel, again, right? It's been a wonderful interview, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.